The universe, as I chose to call the source of my educational curriculum, guided my training in carefully orchestrated ways. For example, when I first started working with energy healers, I couldn't feel energy flowing through me to the patient. It took 2 years before I could feel the subtle magnetic flow of energy that regularly came with my energy work. However, nearly all my patients in the early stages of my learning process could feel the energy being sent from me. At one point in my training, my mentor asked me to put my hands on top of a patient's head, visualize light flowing through me and out my hands, and to send it to the patient. My immediate reaction was to state firmly, "Psychiatrists don't touch patients." That was during my morning session with her. By the afternoon, the idea had time to sink past my resistance a little, and I thought, why not? I'll just ask for the patient's permission first. I approached my first patient, a high school-aged young man whose mother usually sat in the session with me. I explained what I was interested in doing, and the mother and patient agreed to give it a try. She had prior experience with energy healers and said that people can feel the energy of powerful energy healers. I put my hands on the top of his head, visualized light flowing through me and out through my hands and into his body for about 2 minutes. Then I removed my hands and asked him if he had felt anything. His response took me by surprise. He told me that he began by feeling relaxed, then he felt like grinning from ear to ear, and finally he felt like he was out of his body and sitting in my office chair. I, on the other hand, had felt nothing, but I appreciated his feedback. The next patient received the same approach, and she told me that she went into a relaxed state, and then she felt as if she was no longer in my office, but was swinging gently back and forth in a hammock in the backyard of her home. A little further that time, I thought to myself. The third patient told me that she went into a deep, relaxed state, and then she felt as if she was floating out in the universe among the stars. A little further still. I, on the other hand, still felt nothing. I encountered patients who felt the healing energy, but then it seemed to get, quote, stuck, unquote, in certain places. Intuitively, I used my intention on my hands to, quote, remove, unquote, the blockages, and the patient could feel the energy flow properly again. Once when I sent energy to a woman, I was amazed at how hot and sweaty my hands were feeling. I must be doing great energy work, I thought. It turned out that she was blocking all the energy that was being directed to her through my hands, and what I was feeling was just the energy bouncing back against my palms. As my training in energy medicine evolved with my mentors, patients came into my practice with progressively challenging requests. One example was being asked by a patient to work with them long distance. The patient would then give me feedback about how they felt when we worked together. They could feel the positive shift in their energy and physical well-being and thank me for being so accommodating to their needs. As long as they're happy, I thought, I'm cool with challenging the boundaries of my abilities. With each passing year, I interwove the little pieces of information I gathered from my reading, conferences, and empirical experiences together into an integrated approach. Functional, or orthomolecular, and energy medicine became united in their delivery through my practice. The biochemistry and quantum physics of healing became one. Positive clinical results, such as patients being able to taper off their medications smoothly and safely, or being able to avoid the use of medications, became routine and expected. What was once impossible to achieve as a conventional psychiatrist became part of my daily practice. The more I integrated what I learned from a holistic practice, the further I journeyed beyond the shores of conventional psychiatry. I was like Jonathan Livingston Seagull, rejected by my peers, learning alone, and flying to heights that few could even imagine. I have joked to myself that I am probably the only psychiatrist who had quit psychiatry twice in 2 years by going into completely different fields of medicine, and still ended up working as a psychiatrist. Life had taken me on an unexpected journey and transformed me from an angsty, artsy, miserable psychiatrist into the maverick who could help patients safely taper off their psychiatric medications. Looking back now and knowing that I could not have become the kind of advocate and healer that I am today without those experiences, I would be willing to do it all over again. But life is more powerful, loving, and generous than to ignore my creative needs as I, quote, sacrifice it for the good of mankind, unquote. Without intending to, as I used the tools I learned to help my patients heal, I healed also from disempowerment, from self-hatred, from a voiceless acquiescence to my own worthlessness, taught to me 1,000,000 times over through narcissistic relationships. I became who I was meant to be. I reclaimed my voice and came out of the shadows. I began to write, and all the obstacles that once seemed impossible to overcome have merely served to transform me and help me along the way to this point, to these words, to you. Thank you for listening to my podcast, and I hope you enjoyed my second story, which was much longer than my first in my series. I hope you will sign up for my newsletter and enjoy more of my creative writing, and that you will also sign up for my YouTube channel. Thank you very much for listening, and have a great week.